All right. Well, today we have an awesome guest. His name is LobroWatch on Twitch. He goes by Lobro. He's got over 5,200 followers on Twitch, as well as a really dedicated Discord community with over 900 members in there. Lobro, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show today.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate you inviting me and being on here.
For sure. So can you give us a really quick elevator pitch about what it is that your brand's all about?
Sure. My brand is, I mostly go by Lobro online. I'm creating something called the Neon Positivity Show. I've got it on Twitch and an upcoming podcast. The idea being that everyone has an awesome story to tell, and I try to highlight the most positive people on the internet because there's so much negativity out there. There's so much like just darkness and crappy things out there to fall into that I just want to create something positive for people to consume. And so I help people with personal development, give them a community to do that, and create content to back that up with and give them something to learn and just basics about stuff that they should teach in school. That's the basic elevator pitch. Longest elevator pitch of my life, but I did it.
Yeah, I think that's great, and I think that
cool. Thanks.
A lot of people, especially on Twitch specifically, would love the content that you're creating. I watched a couple of your episodes.
Thanks, man.
Before we jump into your why, can you share just a story about how maybe an unintended consequence that you've received as a result of sharing online?
Sure. One thing I didn't expect by starting all of this is because of the world I've dived into, this content creation world. I've made a lot of friends doing so. And I've actually surrounded myself with all of these amazing, positive people that want to help me and I help them. And I don't know, just diving into this has created a whole new circle of friends and given me a whole new take on life, just creating something on the internet that people enjoy and want to follow. So that's the unintended consequences. I have all these friends now that I never would have had otherwise.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And it's not just people that are down the street. It's all over the world, right?
Yeah, everywhere. It's so cool.
That's awesome. So going back to thinking about where and when you started sharing yourself online, can you tell us a little bit about that time and what that looked like?
I've been sharing myself online since I can remember. Since I could be on a computer and there was internet, I've been sharing something on the internet. But I think something really triggered a change in me when I started sharing my personal development and my growth on Twitch. When I started teaching I started just gaming. Twitch is a gaming website. So I started just playing games on it. And then I started sharing myself a little bit more and just sharing my story of trying to become a better version of myself, to grow and develop myself, to be intentional about the person I want to be. And I shared that with my community, and this whole show has sprung up from that journey of self-discovery and just sharing that with people.
So when about was that when that transition
was probably
happened?
I probably started doing, I think that I started doing that in 2017. I started doing that. But I've been sharing my life on the internet for a long time, but never in this way.
Okay. So you were sharing through gaming, and then you got just comfortable putting yourself out there, sharing, having this experience online. And then at some point you felt inclined to bring more of yourself and bring more of your authentic person into it.
Yeah. Because at the time, a few years before that, I've always loved personal development, but a few years before that, I was really struggling and I didn't know where I wanted to go in life. I had been divorced. I had lost my job, and I was like, what do I do? Where am I going? And I started working for this company that really cared about self-development. They're called Dutch Bros Coffee. They're on the West Coast. But everyone in the company, they care about you becoming the best version of yourself. They genuinely care about that. And so I was able to grow and learn a lot of things. And I just shared that journey with people. And in sharing that journey, people were like, I want to do that too, and joined me.
So what made it so that you wanted to share that journey? What was going through your head just, when you made that decision to intentionally start sharing there?
Do you ever do things unconsciously and later ask yourself why you did that? it's almost like you were meant to do it. Like you almost like just naturally just gravitated towards doing that. I don't know why, but one day I just was like, I mean, I've always been a gamer, but one day I was just like, I want to game on Twitch. I just want to stream and just experiment, because I've always been a jack of all trades. I love experimenting. I go from one journey to the next. I'm like, okay, that was fun. What's the next thing I want to experiment with and have fun with? That's always been my life. I never thought I would find something like this that would like become its own entity and grow into this beautiful community and show. But I don't know. Like yeah.
So if, because it's so organic, did you have any, let's say, barriers that you had to overcome to starting that? Did you feel a little self-conscious about putting yourself out there more vulnerably, or
oh yeah,
what was going through your head at that time?
Well, in the beginning, I was just like, I'm just gonna play video games. I want to lift up people's day. And then like when you get to talking to people on the internet, you almost forget that you're live on the internet. And then like they pull something out of you and they're like, well, yeah, I did this today. I'm like, oh yeah, I learned something cool and I learned this. Can you repeat your question again? I want to make sure that I answer your question.
Yeah. So did you have any barriers that you had to overcome
the
when
barrier.
you were first starting? Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I brought it back around. And the barrier was being vulnerable and sharing myself, because I've always shared myself on the internet, but nothing so personal. And then what I found was by sharing my, my personal growth and by sharing my personal life and my wife and my vulnerability, even sharing my like weakest moments in my life online, I never thought I would share those, but by doing that, I found that I come alive because people are supportive and people find that they resonate with that story. And so my biggest barrier was overcoming being afraid to share. It was overcoming this fear that people are going to judge me, and this fear that someone's going to look at me and be like, he doesn't know what he's talking about, or oh my God, how silly is that? Or how cheesy is that? How, oh my God, that's so wholesome. That's dumb. Like people think that, like, if it's too good, it can't be true. But like, I want to make this beautiful place on the internet. And so my biggest barrier was sharing myself and overcoming this fear of what people will think. And once I was able to be like, it doesn't really matter what people think. If they're supportive people, great. If there's not, their judgment of me actually doesn't affect my life. And so once I got rid of the thoughts of whatever people are thinking of me, that barrier, I came alive. It's been an amazing experience.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, fearing for the judgment. So did you have any things that you did, or maybe thought processes that you worked through that helped you overcome that barrier of being worried about how people are judging you for sharing?
I did. And you know what? I shared that journey on Twitch as I was going through it. Nice. And what I shared was it's this inner dialogue. Not everyone has it. I found this out recently. Not everyone talks to themselves. Some people think in abstract, but I talk to myself. I have this inner dialogue where I'm constantly talking this consistent conversation. There's this consistent conversation in my head to myself. And what I found was I was just being really mean to myself. And so what I shared was this experience of learning and being aware of myself, and this mindfulness, being aware of myself to the point where I can catch myself being mean and being like, when you get frustrated with a project, you're like, dang, you're such an idiot. And I would catch myself doing that. And I'd be like, okay, no, what do I genuinely want to tell myself in this moment instead? And over time, I created these new neural pathways in my brain. Instead of instantly going to, you suck, this new neural pathway in my brain that I've carved now says, you know what? This wasn't your best, but you tried and you did good. What's next? What's the next step? It's okay. That was an attempt. You failed. Great. Stand up. What's next? And so once I recrafted this dialogue in my head, and shared this experience online, I was able to completely change the way I think and the way I think about myself and the way I teach, even, because now I speak from a place of confidence and a place of love instead of oh my God, what is this person going to say to me? What are they going to think? And all of those fearful thoughts that we instantly go to sometimes. So it's just about being aware of yourself. And I was aware of myself to the point where I could maybe change my thought process. change the verbiage to something positive.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So you built this self-awareness for yourself, and then you built a habit around just giving yourself self-encouragement throughout the process of putting yourself out there. And if you felt like you're going to get judged, you would just find a way to encourage yourself to overcome whenever things like that would come up.
Yep. You know, Gary Vee says something really cool. What does he say about that? He says the only opinion that matters about you is your own, or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Like, or what other people think about you doesn't matter. I don't know. Something to that effect, but like that resonated with me.
Yeah, very cool. So you started streaming, doing gaming, and then you started sharing yourself. You overcame the barriers of judgment by giving yourself self-encouragement, building self-awareness. And then that was back in roughly 2017. And today you're still streaming. So why are you still going? What's going on today? Like, what's your why for today?
My why for today? That's such a good question. It's grown, and the goal and the journey has all like expanded and changed along the way. But my why now is I always wonder if this is like a selfish thing, but I get fueled off of people's gratitude. When people are thankful for my help, like that just keeps me going for the next thing. If one person is like, man, you said something that really resonated with me, and I was able to change my thought process, and I was so proud of myself because I was able to get through this negative time, and now I've got a better mindset about it. And like, if I can help someone get there and have this like paradigm change and get out of this dark place in their life, amazing. That's a huge win for me. And so my why is helping people get out of that, because I think everyone can recognize there's a time in your life, you know, sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. There's a time in your life where you feel like you are just stuck. You're overwhelmed, you're caged in, and you just feel like you can't get out. I want to find those people and give them love and teach them basic personal development skills, things that we don't learn in school about becoming the best version of yourself, and giving them a community to do that. My why is the love of other people, and just sharing that and pushing that, or not pushing that forward. Just sending that forward and giving it out back to the people. I love people. At the end of the day, I'm fueled off of their energy and fueled off of people's appreciation. And if I can help people, it makes my day, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's a lot to do with a big topic of this podcast is the unintended consequences. So you're making an impact on these people's lives, and they're telling you, hey, you made this difference for me, and that's an impact that you made on that person. So you love the receipt of those unintended consequences in a way.
Yeah, I really do. I really do.
Very cool. So why is it so important for you to, build community where you can receive these unintended consequences?
Can you say that question again? Why is it important that I what?
Why is it so important to you that you built this community to receive unintended consequences, to help other people make positive impact, like all these things you just mentioned? Why is all that so important to you?
Because I think it's more important now than ever, because we aren't taught how to grow in school. At least I wasn't. We are inundated it's 2020. We are inundated with ads and negative social culture. We are inundated with all sorts of culture that we have no control over, that we see and hear all day long. I want people to be able to find one thing on the internet that they can consume that's positive, whether it's me or whether it's the network that I build, or not me at all. Like I want to build a network of positive content that people can consume, whether it's like a podcast or whether they hang out with our community. We even have like a Minecraft server on our Discord. And there's tons of non-gamers that play on it because it's this place where they can exist in a digital space and hang out together. And they can bond in that place because it's almost like you're next to each other. And that's the great thing about gaming, is like I'm able to connect this gaming world to this world of self-development and make something special with this connection that no one's done before.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Thanks, man.
So then, so why is it so important to have this positive outlet for people to be able to join in on online?
Because if we don't have positive outlets, I mean, I don't have control over what all kind of outlets are going to be out there forever. Like, so I guess it's important to me that there's just one more positive thing out there for someone to consume. Like, one of my biggest inspirations is Fred Rogers. Like, he said that even though he was across this television set to these children, he still felt connected, like he could help, like he could make a difference, like he could teach them something. And I guess I'm just fueled by that idea, by that same thing for me. I feel connected to these people. I feel connected that I can help them, whether even if it's just giving them a friend online, because there's tons of people that just need to feel accepted. Everyone wants love and acceptance. And so that's what I'm giving.
Yeah, that's great. So you're giving these people a positive environment where they can feel accepted for who they are.
Because you can't grow without, I mean, it's almost impossible to grow without surrounding yourself with positive people. And I learned that because by doing this process, I naturally did that and have become a new person. And I want to give that same thing to this community. I call them wave riders, my community.
Okay. And was that something that you were maybe lacking early in your life, is having access to some kind of community where you can be surrounded by all positive people, or what was the drive to make it so that you felt like you needed to create this community and to put this out there?
It wasn't necessarily that I lacked it. It was the fact that I had it that I wanted to give it. Does that make sense? So because I worked at that company, Dutch Bros, I told you about that a little bit ago, because I worked for them and they gave me this positive, like loving, encouraging place and immediate acceptance, I wanted to just give that out. I wanted to give that same thing that they were giving me. I wanted to just do it my own way. I wanted to give people, I wanted to do it on the internet with gaming and I just wanted to do something different. And I guess do it in my own way. And so hopefully connect something unique that someone hasn't done before.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate you working with me. I kept going a little bit deeper to try to.
No. I'm loving it. I'm loving the layers deep. Feel free to keep going. I like it. Thank you.
A little bit at a stalemate here with how I can keep going, but
that's okay. I appreciate it.
Yeah, but I think that's awesome. So you built this online community surrounded by positive thinkers that can all encourage each other to be their best selves and encourage each other to be themselves at the same time.
Yep, we hold each other accountable. We encourage one another, and we have unique places for those too. Like, because it's like a Discord server, you can have different channels for different topics, and so we have one for support when people are struggling, and we have one for personal development, and another for health and fitness. And so there's always like a place where you can get encouragement or encourage others to do the same.
So do you have, you mentioned these subsections of your Discord group. Do you have any stories that come to mind from maybe interactions that you've seen that even if that's not with you and just the community supporting each other, of like some kind of impact that has happened as a result of this community being there?
Yeah,
like
actually.
Example.
Yeah, actually, we have a channel called Crack Your Glow Stick. So basically, I give glow sticks to people to crack when they reach an achievement or a goal. So it's supposed to be like a physical item that exists in the real world. And when they reach the goal, they crack it and they take a selfie with it and they post it in this channel. It's something that everyone in our community knows what it is. It's part of our culture. And so almost every week, there's a new person in there that goes in there, cracks a glow stick and shares their achievement. And everyone knows what to do, and they go in there and cheer that person on and celebrate that person for something that they chose, that they did for themselves. And you know what? The goal doesn't matter. It can be as small as I actually got out of bed for the first time in a week, or it can be because maybe that person was depressed, or it can be I lost 10 pounds, or it can be I got the job, or I got to speak at a convention. Like, it can be as big or as little as you want, and we will all celebrate that person. And so,
in all those examples you just mentioned, you've seen probably multiple cases of each of those, I'm assuming. Yeah, so you've seen a lot in there.
Yeah. Actually, one of my favorites is someone was really afraid to post like a video of themselves singing on YouTube, and they did it, and they posted the video, and it was like, I did it. I posted myself singing. And sometimes that like, I was afraid when I first started, that's something that someone's afraid of. And so giving them a place where they can celebrate and have the endorphins of the achievement, because let's face it, there's so many times in life where we reach an achievement, but there's just not a whole lot of, hey, great job, even from ourselves to ourselves. We don't give ourselves enough like compassion sometimes to say, hey, like, really good job, pat on the back. Like, I think it's important that we recognize ourselves in that way too.
Yeah, I definitely could see that. I mean, for me personally, I was very introverted when I started the podcast. In my first 3 episodes, I literally just asked a question, got the answer, asked a question, got the answer, and then I would go back and post editing and re-record myself asking those questions and insert that in.
That's funny.
So like, to think that, someone is trying to overcome their barriers to singing on YouTube, for me, is just getting an audio file out there when I was first starting.
That makes sense. So, heck yeah.
Yeah. So have you had any moments where you had to give yourself permission throughout your journey to, like, maybe it's overcoming a barrier or making a big leap of faith, something where it was a big decision that you just had to say, I need to give myself permission to do this?
I love that you asked that, because I try to do like topical shows, and we had one a few months ago where it was, sometimes you need to give yourself permission to do something. And sometimes that's permission to chase your goals or your dreams, because we tell ourselves we can't do them. We tell ourselves like, no, you're not capable of that. That's really hard. That's for the people who are really good. But the people who are really good are the ones who just spent the time to do it. And
Right.
so for me, it's just reminding people this fact that you are capable of way more than you think you are. And so I don't know, how would I answer that? I guess what I'm saying is, I gave myself permission to do this. I gave myself permission to chase this and say, you know what, Lobro, you're capable of helping people, of creating this community and running a brand. And because a streamer has 70 jobs. I have social media. I got a newsletter I'm writing. I got a podcast I'm recording. I got shows to plan and shows to stream, different games to play, podcasts to be on, calls to, get on to network and connect with other people, merchandising. Like, we hold so many hats. So it's one of those jobs that I had to learn how to do a lot of things. And so I guess giving myself permission to chase this and say, you can do all these things, was mine.
And right before you gave yourself that permission to just say, okay, let's gung ho, let's go for it. How were you feeling about it? Like, right before you gave yourself that permission?
I was terrified, because I was terrified of judgment. I was terrified that I was going to lose something out of it. But what I learned later on is, like, I literally had nothing to lose by doing it. I was just chasing fun. I wanted to do something new and fun, but I was terrified because I thought that because I told myself this is just for fun, but I always had this ulterior motive, which was to create something new, to create something magical, to be this, like, if you've ever played Overwatch, there's this character called Lucio, and his job is to be an audio medic. He plays music and he speeds up and heals other members in the group or other heroes. And it was my dream to be like an audio medic on Twitch, to be like this, like, person who can play good music and just give people good vibes and tell a great story or share something fun that they can learn about themselves. And so I guess, long story short, really long answer. I gave myself permission to be that person, to try, at least to try. And then I found that by overcoming that fear and digging deeper into myself, there was literally nothing to be afraid of. That it was just, there's that judgment doesn't matter. Like, you can do this and you might as well try. And I found that, people like it and people enjoy it. And yeah, so I think one of my favorite things to tell people too is when you're chasing like a goal or a dream, or you have a new thing that you want to do, really evaluate what you have to lose, really evaluate what you have to, like, gain. Because if you have literally nothing to lose except for people's judgment. Is that really something? Is that really something that you need to worry about? I don't know. It's
I
just
like
a
that.
thought process. Yeah, I like to help people get through mindset barriers, I guess. And so that was one of mine. And again, sharing my story helps others.
Yeah, and I like that you built this community of people to support each other, and in turn, it's
Yeah.
supporting you because you're supporting them, and it's like just a giant support network. And
Yeah, absolutely. Yep,
it's pretty
100%.
cool what you built.
Thank you.
So as far as throughout your journey, if you think about who you were when you were, let's say when you were Twitch streaming, but not yet, sharing vulnerably. So right before you started sharing vulnerably, to who you are today, how do you think this whole journey has changed you as a person?
I don't know. Am I allowed to cuss? I was an a-hole.
All right.
It's well because I was bitter. I was resentful of life because of all these negative things that were happening to me. And so it's changed me because what I learned was everyone has these things happen to them. I mean, everyone is different. Everyone has different adversity. Everyone has different struggle. But what I learned was you and I are more alike than we are different. It's so this journey has changed me in such a sense that I have found that we are all so similar that we can help each other grow and we can help each other improve and we can help each other become the best version of ourselves. And this journey has changed me. Actually, I'm going to backtrack that question even a little bit further.
Sure.
When I started streaming on Twitch, I was still kind of figuring out who I was because I spent 10 or 15 years being resentful of I have Crohn's disease. And I was resentful of the fact that I had it. And I was like, well, I was handed a harder set of cards than everyone else. And so I guess what I'm saying is I had ego because I thought my story was different. I thought I had it harder than everyone else, but that was the furthest thing from the truth. Everyone has adversity. Understanding that helped me get through it because we can all gather around each other and help each other through it. And so for me, the journey changed me because I discovered we are all the same and we can help each other, and that I have nothing to gain from being bitter at the world because you have different illnesses and ailments and problems and things, and you have different parents and different upbringing than I do. And so understanding that in that difference, we are the same. We are human. We both have, I'm getting like really cheesy in this. We both have like human hearts and souls, and we connect through that. I don't know.
I mean, no, I mean, it sounds like it was a life-changing experience for you. I mean, you go from, having sort of like a resentment about the cards you were handed, the life that you had, things of those natures, and then to building this full support network where you've helped and seen so many other people go through things, and now you're just a completely different person, it sounds like. Yeah,
because what I learned is everyone has struggle, and I just want everyone to understand that we're in that together. Like, and that's, I want to even like connect something from earlier when I said like I call my community Wave Riders. That is the name of our community because when life comes at us in waves, instead of like buckling under the waves, we try to ride it. I know it's super cheesy, but like instead of like buckling under, ride that, own it, take ownership of it. And once I learned to take ownership of it, I came alive, and I want to teach other people that too.
Right. And none of that would have happened if you weren't putting yourself out there and giving yourself permission to do this thing and influencing and sharing and all the things we talked about.
Correct. Yeah. None of this would have happened if I wasn't vulnerable enough to share this journey at all.
That's pretty amazing.
Thanks, man.
Oh, congrats on making it this far. That's
I appreciate it. Yeah. Well, there's much further to go still.
Yeah. I mean, you're here, so this is a big path. So I can only imagine where you'll be as you continue. So it's amazing.
Hey, thanks, man.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that goes both ways, man. I'm super excited for your podcast and where this is going.
Oh, thanks, man.
You're welcome.
So as far as, do you mind if we talk a little bit about your financial situation with the whole influencing thing? You can go as deep as you want with it.
Sure.
But a lot of people question, how do you make a living and where's your income come from? What kind of sources of income do you get?
Mhm.
So like, what does that whole ecosystem look like for you?
So on Twitch, people can subscribe for $5 a month, and the streamer or the person who owns the channel gets half of that, 250. And then people can also tip through PayPal or a credit card. And so my entire income is through subscriptions and tips. The generosity of kind people on the internet that helps it go. And this is my full-time job, so it is like that ecosystem is hard because not only do you have to run this business and all the expenses of the business, and it's way more expensive than people think. That's always true though, right? Like you're always going to hear it's more than you think it is, but it's true. It's a lot more expensive to run than people think it is, and then you also have to be able to pay your bills at home and provide for a family, and so it's extremely tough.
Yeah. And so do you just, you can share as much as you're willing to share, but are
Sure.
you, making an income that's able to like give you a lifestyle right now, or are you still in like the startup phase of just like trying to make it so you're not going in the negative? Like, what's it feel like going through this
Sure.
whole journey?
I don't mind answering that. Thanks for asking.
Sure.
I would say that we are a little past startup, but we are definitely not like I'm not living a lifestyle at all. Like the only reason I can even do this is because my wife pays the mortgage and she gave I just got married back in September. My wife pays the
Oh,
mortgage
congrats.
and our thank you very much, man. And she helps with a lot of the food and expenses around the house to help me do this. And so the only reason I'm able to is because I have low overhead
Right.
and because I have the support of my family to do it. Otherwise, I'm it's not like I'm raking in money or anything like that. I mean, one day I hope to be able to create a lifestyle and have a savings account, stuff like that. But right now it's definitely a little tight, and that's okay. That's part of the experience, and I'm totally leaning into it and learning as I go.
Nice. And so,
Thanks, man.
based on where you see things are at right now and where you're headed, do you still see the subscribes and the tips as being the main source of income for you, or do you see
Hmm.
something else like jumping in and being a major player as far as that goes?
That's a great question. There's other things that I will be doing in the future that are in the pipeline for me. Patreon is one of them. I already have one. It's there to support the Neon Positivity Show, which is on Twitch, and the will be the
That's all right.
podcast. Thanks, man. And will be the podcast. But outside of that, probably not a whole lot until I write like a book or something. That's like a long-term goal for me. Like 5 to 10 years, I want to write a book. But like for me, yeah, this is probably my main income for a while. I will do other things. I don't know what they are yet, but that's okay. That's again part of that journey, and I'm okay with the mystery. I
Yeah.
actually kind of enjoy it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've gone to a couple like podcast conferences, and people there have always talked about like it's not, if anything, it's against you to have like a plan when entering like a space like that, because you
Mhm.
don't know what opportunities will arise as a result.
Yeah, absolutely. And so many have arisen that if I did have a plan, they wouldn't have happened if I did. And so like it's not that I don't have one, I just have a general idea of where I'm going and I'm
Like
okay
a
with that
direction.
direction. Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah,
have a direction and I know it's north and I'm going that way and I'm enjoying it as I go.
that's awesome.
Thanks, man.
So let's talk a little bit about your community, because
Sure.
I think that you built a Discord group with over 900 members. To me personally, that's impressive, because I've had a Discord group for my podcast and I've got like 3 members for the past 8 months. So I'm just curious, what is that? What's the feeling of the community for you? And then let's talk a little bit about like maybe how you did it, or why people are there, why you're there.
When I started streaming, I gave myself 3 core values.
Thanks.
And one of them was community. When I started, community has always been important to me because once I realized it at that old company I worked for, Dutch Bros, once I realized how important that community was, I was like, that is the missing ingredient of most online communities, is this closeness. And so figuring out ways to bring people close and together online has been the hard part about building this community and the foundation for it. But once we got here, it's been a life changing experience having them support me and one another, and just having them in general. Like it's probably the proudest thing in my life. Like honestly, proudest achievement is the
That's
Wave
awesome.
Riders, this community of 900 plus people. I'm more proud of that than anything else.
That's huge.
Thank you, Van. Appreciate it.
So I guess, I'm sort of curious, but like, do you have any tips for, what was your, how did you come up with the idea for the community? And, like, then how did you drive the traffic to it? Like, what's the process to building like a successful Discord community?
I think Discord is super important nowadays for any kind of small brand to connect as a community. So just wanted to point that out. But tips for like running and having one, is that the general gist of this?
Yeah. I mean, any tips or tricks that you find that work for
to grow one and create one?
Yeah.
The name was really important to me. The name, I wanted something that had meaning, that meant something to us, that would resonate once people understood it. But tips and tricks would be finding ways to bring them close together when they have started. And to start one, it's really hard to start in the beginning to get like a Discord community going. Network with your friends, ask them to join, send them a message. Hey, like I started this Discord community for Y Influence or for LobroWatch, and I want you to join us. Here's what it's about. Let me know if you want to join. Here's the link or whatever. But like invite your friends, just see if they want to join. And once you get a few more people, it's a lot easier to get those people who might have questions about your credibility. It's the key is that small startup. But once you get that started, once you have a few people in and they start realizing what of a kind of a community it is, bringing them closer together. One of the things I like to do is like instead of people ask me about branding all the time, and the reason I'm using this is a great analogy. Instead of growing your brand out wide and having a bunch of things that you want to do, sometimes it's better to grow deeper into one thing and to develop one thing even more. And so I really, really tried to develop the community aspect. What ways can I bring the community together? And so like, that's where the Minecraft server came in, and I wanted to bring them together in that way. That's when we came up with like a greeter group. So when new people join the Discord, we have a group of people who are greeters. They go out there and say, hey, welcome. We're so glad you're here. If you have any questions, let me know. And so like, it's using your creative juices to figure out ways to make it your own and to make it your communities. And what does it mean to be that community member? What does it mean to be a member of your community? So like, if I was going to give a tip to someone and your community members' names are, I don't know, we'll just use Wave Riders as my example because that's mine.
Yeah.
I named them Wave Riders. Let's say a bunch of people join. Give them the reason why they're there. Give them the reason. Tell them why they should be there. Tell them. I mean, this is what they would need to know before they join. Is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. They need to know why they should be there. Right. The why behind it. They need to know why they should be in there, and they need to know why it matters to you and connect with that. Because if they connect with you and why it matters to you, maybe they'll join because they want to be part of your community and not necessarily what you're creating. Otherwise, the why behind it is also just as important.
Awesome.
I guess those are my tips. Yeah, just connect with people, and they'll see it.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, and just for the record, my goal starting out the podcast was to get 30 interviews. So I kept my head focused on that. So I haven't put too much emphasis on the Discord. It did exist the whole time.
That's awesome then. That means you dug deep on the podcast first. You wanted to develop your skills as a podcast or as a podcast and interviewer first.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome.
So what's inspiring you most about the future? Where are you headed? What's the direction that you're going? Tell us a little bit about that.
What inspires me about the future is it's completely unwritten. Is like anything can still happen. I have tons of projects that I have in the works that I would love to do. There's always something I can iterate and do. I guess that's part of my personality is I'm always adjusting and fixing and changing and updating and just always iterating and actually more than anything I'm ideating. I'm coming up with new ways to make connections for our community, new ways to make it better, new ways to create content that people can consume. And so I guess the future for me is just knowing that it's unwritten and there's so much there that I can do. There's so much possibility yet. I don't know what's going to happen yet, but it's cool with me. I'm really enjoying where I'm at though.
Oh, that's pretty awesome and exciting at the same time.
Thank you. Yeah.
And you're, I guess, what, 2 to 3 years into this now?
2.5. Yeah. It'll be 3 years in June.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah, I think you're pretty close. It seems like, you're at the tipping point where you're able to at least get by and make a living doing what you're doing, and you've built this strong community of people. So I feel like just if you keep doing what you're doing, you're just at some point you're going to hit that tipping point for the next chapter.
So. I hope so. I got nothing to lose, man. Here's the thing. I told my wife when I started doing this. Do you care if I just tell you a quick story?
Oh, go for it.
Cool. Yeah, so when I first started streaming, I told my wife that when I told my wife I wanted to quit and do this, she's like, do you think you can make enough money? I'm like, maybe. And I told my boss that I wanted to quit by the end of the year. So I came in January 1st of 2018. And I told my boss the first day of work, I was like, I'm turning in my 52 weeks. He's like, what? I'm like, I want to quit by the end of the year. I want to actually do this Twitch thing. And I want to full-time stream. And I want to create content online. He's like, all right, let's go. Let's do it. And by the end of the year, I was barely making enough. And I was like, babe, I can actually quit my job right now and say that I gave my 52-week notice and quit. And she's like, okay, let's do it. And we took a chance, total chance. And I just quit. And we were able to scrape by. And it's been a year now doing it, and it's been amazing and been an amazing experience doing that. And have had a lot of support and a lot of supportive people that help us get here. But I guess the reason I'm telling the story is because, shoot, how do I bring this full circle? Where was I going with that? No, I guess the reason I was telling the story is because, shoot. I don't remember why I was telling you.
Maybe the grit that it takes or the sacrifice that is needed. I mean, those were things that were coming to my head while you're talking.
I don't know. At least once per interview, I forget where I was at and then lose my train of thought. I like Michael Scott it every time. Almost every interview I do, I Michael Scott at least once.
All right, no worries.
It's fine.
Well, it's a good start to a story, at least.
I'm embracing it. I'm embracing the Michael Scottness of it and allowing it to be.
Yeah. All right. So then, are there people in your real life where maybe you doing this, you've impacted them in some way? Maybe people saying that you're chasing your passions or making a difference with other people's lives.
Yeah. There's been a number of people in my friend group in real life who are like, wow, seeing you do this inspires me. I am now going to try and do it too. Or I'm going to go off and do this because seeing you achieve makes me believe I can do it too, because I know you personally and I know that you're a regular guy, and that's not meant to be like a put down at all, but people know that I'm just a regular guy that loves people. And so knowing that and being my friend, people believe that they can do it too. And that's amazing. So yeah, there's been several friends who have started streaming. I've had several friends start up new businesses as well and ask me questions about like how I do things, and that's pretty cool. But yeah, there has been a positive impact on the people around me, and knowing that I'm doing that feels really cool, and it feels good to remember that, because sometimes you can be really hard on yourself as a creator. You can be really mean to yourself and really critical, and so I have to remind myself that I have these friends that I've really helped and that really appreciate me.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, you got
Thanks,
unintended consequences all over the place doing what you're doing. It's pretty awesome.
You love the unintended consequences. I thought that was a really unique question too. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a big part of the podcast because it's all about why. It's called Why Influence for a reason. Why share? Why put yourself out there? And that's something I always struggled with. I'm very introverted. Never put anything on Facebook. Never had an Instagram. But I had a business that I built over 200,000 social followers for, and I was always behind the scenes for that. And then I started going to mastermind groups and helping other entrepreneurs take leaps in mindsets and stuff, and going to Toastmasters and self-developing.
Dude, that's amazing. We should connect more.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. I love networking. Well, it's one of my favorite things. A lot of people think it's like a bad word, but it's really just about making connections with people and making friends out there and seeing how you can help one another. There's a lot of that on Twitch, a
Right.
lot of connecting and helping one another and growing together. It's beautiful.
Nice. Yeah, I'd love to connect more with you.
Yeah, sure.
So let's give a little bit of advice for some new people. Let's say
Sure.
there's someone that's looking to start Twitch streaming, or maybe they just started Twitch streaming, but they don't really have a solid direction yet.
Mm-hmm.
What would be some of the biggest advice that you could give to this person?
I promise I'm not saying this because I'm on the podcast, but one of the first things I always tell people is know your why. You have to know why you're streaming. And I didn't know why when I started, but I had to figure it out along the way. I found out my why wasn't just having fun. I wanted to help people. And so sometimes you find your why along the way, but know it. Know the reason you're there. When you stand firmly in your why, when you know your why, when you're there, other people will know it too. People don't question what I'm about because they know it. And so that's what I tell people when you're starting out. Know what you're doing. Know what you're trying to help. Even if all you know right now is the feeling you want to give people, know the feeling you want to give people and work on figuring out how to do that. Even if that feeling when you're streaming on Twitch, even if that feeling is you want them to feel loved or you want them to feel encouraged, think of how you want them to feel in your chat. And then how do I craft my brand around helping them feel that way? That's what I did. And that's how I help people start.
That's awesome. I couldn't agree more. And
Thanks.
I think you probably understand that too, because premise of the podcast.
Yep, absolutely.
But I like that. I like the passion. It's going to be
passion is my bread and butter, man. I've
Nice.
always been passionate.
All right. So then let's say you talk to an established Twitch streamer, maybe someone that's equivalent size or maybe a little bigger than you or smaller. What would be some of the biggest advice that you could give to this person? Maybe like something that's work that you've done, the secret sauce that you found that works for you that you're doing different than someone else. But what would be some big advice you can give to someone who's already established in the space?
Stay above the meta. So there's a lot of meta conversation on Twitch. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of like drama between Twitch streamers and like you should stream like this, or you shouldn't use this tag, or you should use this tag, or stream this way. And there's a lot of people who have opinions about how to stream and what to do. Just do your thing. Stay above the drama. I'm not saying all of it's drama. A lot of people have correct opinions or correct opinions. A lot of people have opinions. A lot of people have opinions. A lot of people say correct things about things and wrong things. But I just try to stay above the drama and try to stay out of it completely. I want my brand to be free and clear of most of the conversation about streaming. I want people to consume the positivity, the content itself, not have to worry about streamers talking, because from the outside looking in, you may not think about it, but when you get into the Twitch world, you find that a lot of streamers talk about streaming and a lot of streamers talk to streamers about streaming. And so there's all this meta conversation about the drama and like how you should do it. And here's the right way, here's the wrong way. And so just staying out, I personally like to stay outside of that and stay above it and try to stay above that line that people just don't have to worry about that from me, I guess, for the most part.
That's huge advice. And I've heard similar advice a lot. Just you want to make sure that you do what works for you. And, people oftentimes will ask me like, what should I be posting every day or once a week or 5 times a day? Like what's the best? And it's like,
whatever you will do. Sorry.
Yeah, whatever works best for you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You understand that. And
whatever you can do that.
And you'll get opinions from someone who posts once a week that's the way to go. And you have all these opinions in all these different ways. And that's just one example, but
yep. I'm convinced Gary V, when people ask Gary V, you've seen Gary V, I assume, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've seen him a couple times live too.
Oh, heck yeah. Me too.
Nice.
When people ask Gary V how often they should be posting, I'm convinced he tells people every single day or 7 times a day. I'm convinced he tells people these exaggerated numbers to tell them how often they should actually, because his answer is yes and as often as possible is what he's trying to tell people. Do it as much as you can is all he's trying to tell people. And so I'm convinced that's what he's telling them is just do it as much as you can. Do what you are capable of doing and do that. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm with you though.
So I do have a question related to how you operate with things. Like,
Sure.
what does your day look like, or when you do a stream, and are you chopping it up afterwards? Do you have someone who's helping you with things? Do you have a team? You doing everything yourself? Like, what does that whole ecosystem look like?
Okay. Um, for the most part, my stream is managed mostly by me. I do have a team of moderators who help moderate the chat room and help do like basic things during the stream. Like if I forget something, they'll write it down and make a note of it for me for later. Or I'll be like, hey, could you do this one little thing for me? And sometimes it's making a Google form so we can do a vote or a poll in chat or something. Like they're always there to assist. They're assistants. They're great assistants. But other than that, I mean, my day looks like my day is waking up. I got a morning routine that I go on a walk and listen to a podcast or audiobook every day. Um, and then I make a protein shake, and then I that's what I have for lunch after walk every day, protein shake. And then I figure out well, I look at what my to-do list is for that day and I get those done. And then I've about a couple hours before stream, I'm thinking about what my mindset's going to be for stream, what I want to stream about, what I want to talk about. I start working on that. I'll look up videos. I'll kind of research sometimes. And then I'll plan the game or whatever other content I have going on for that day. And so my day, when it's a stream day, is usually packed with what I'm doing for stream. I'm tweeting about it. I'm putting stuff on Instagram. I'm talking about the next product that's coming out. Every day can be different. And I'm still figuring out how that process works as I go here.
That's awesome.
Thanks, dude.
Well, Lobro, I appreciate you coming on here and sharing your why. But before I open the floor for you to talk a little bit more about your stuff, maybe give a pitch about what it is that you're working on, how people can find you. I'd like to ask if you have any last words for our listeners here.
Yeah, I guess my last words are, I know this is super like wholesome and cheesy, but believe you can do more than you can. We are all capable of so much more than we think we are, and your goals can be bigger than you think they can be. Think bigger for yourself. Think of yourself more and think for yourself more, and you'll find yourself in a better place. I don't know. That's super cheesy, but I came out of me.
That's perfect.
Thanks, dude. I just think people are capable of so much more. And that's what I want. I guess that's my whole mission. If I'm going to talk about myself, if you're going to give me a moment to talk about myself, that's what it is. People are capable of more. You can do more with yourself than you think you can. And so instilling this belief in people and getting people out of this, I told you about it earlier, this scared, frightened, overwhelmed place in life where they don't want to, their comfort zone is this defeated mindset, helping people out of that, because I was there, helping people out of that and getting to a place of enjoying life, exuberance and love and excitement for life, this passion. I want to help people get there. That's what I'm about. And in any way possible. If LobroWatch, my stream doesn't exist in 10 years, I'm still going to be doing something about helping people become the best version of themselves. Who knows?
That's awesome.
Thanks, man.
All right. Well, I'd like to end the episode with just giving you an opportunity to talk about your brand, your social accounts, your Twitch channel, your merch, your Patreon, anything else you'd like to talk about. And then just keep in mind, I'll put links to all those things on my website on the episode page so that people can navigate over to you.
Cool. Thanks, dude. I guess what I would tell people is I have a talk show on Twitch. It's normally a gaming website, but I talk to gamers, nerds, misfits about becoming the best version of yourself. I try to help people see more of themselves than they're capable of seeing. We have a vulnerable, loving, accepting community of people who will embrace you if you decide to come be a part of it and join us. And yeah, just be on the lookout for more of me, because I know that there's going to be a lot of great things coming up in my future for positive content, whatever that might be. Yeah, the Neon Positivity Show, exactly.
You got your people helping you out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Lobro, thanks so much for coming on the show and sharing your why and sharing your journey. I hope you have a great remainder of 2020, and I look forward to seeing your influence keep on growing.
Thanks for inviting me, man. It's been a pleasure being on today.
For sure. Oh, real quick too.
Sure.
I like to ask for feedback before I let you go,
Sure.
because I am on my own journey of trying to share more and being a better host.
Okay.
So do you have any feedback for me as a podcast host, or through the whole journey of interaction? Any thoughts?
Have you streamed on Twitch yet?
No,
besides podcasting?
No, this is my third time doing a live stream podcast interview to Twitch, but that's the only time I've done.
I bet if you streamed more, even if it was just a couple hours a week, whatever games, whatever content you might come up with, it might help you become a better speaker and might actually help you learn a little bit about the people who might want to listen to your podcast, or just develop skills in being a speaker or entertainer in general. When you're on Twitch, anything is possible. And so I love it as a great way to start creating content, because you show so much of yourself. And since you're already streaming on here, I would actually recommend streaming a little bit. Maybe you'll find that you can do Y influence on in another way on Twitch as well. Maybe you'll find another niche for it. I don't know.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. Actually, the only reason I'm live streaming now is because one of my friends challenged me, because I had my goal of hitting 30 interviews. And he said, when you hit 30, you got to do a live streamed update about your journey so far. So
I love
I go
it.
from, being so worried to start the podcast and re-recording myself in the early ones to now live streaming interviews. So you just sort of, I like how people are challenging me, I guess. And you're challenging me to, try to be more vulnerable and put myself more out there on Twitch.
Yep. Because I know it might be hard to believe, but I'm a huge introvert too. You said that at the beginning of the podcast is you're an introvert, and I am too. And so I think being on Twitch has helped me, even though I'm an introvert, how to figure out how to speak and become this version of myself that allows me to be comfortable. I found a comfort in speaking on Twitch. And so maybe you'll find that confidence there, some confidence from speaking on Twitch too.
Awesome. Oh, I appreciate that.
Of course, dude. Thanks for having me on today. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. We'll definitely stay in touch.
Absolutely.